Hello, everyone, and welcome back to an overdue Blackjack Wade's midlife. But glad to be back. Welcome back, Rusty.
Thank you, Wade. Nice to be here.
Yeah, we haven't talked in a while, and just for the listeners and viewers, we did no prep. We just decided we had plenty to talk about, and we hadn't talked in a while. And I don't even know, I don't follow a lot of world events right now because of my brain being absolutely full with training people on AI, practicing AI, launching AI software as a service options and products. And I just got off of a call with a company I'm going to be doing some consulting with directly to help introduce AI to their business. I don't even know where to start. Tell me where your head's at.
All kinds of stuff's happening. Of course, AI is going off the rails, and we'll talk about that. But there's all kinds of stuff going on. Putin is amassing troops on the Ukraine border. Dan Bongino claims we're going to see some kind of video from the prison of Epstein. I mean, it's just, it's
I thought
hilarious.
the cameras were broken.
They were, but not all the cameras. But it's just like it's the news and people and influencers and us. We go out of our way to try to bring the latest, greatest, most fantastic thing we can say, and then it's old 10 seconds later. It is.
You know what? Let's jump in right there. I want to, and I want you to come back. Make a note, please, on the Ukraine thing, because I'm completely out of the loop, as I mentioned. So focused in the areas where I should be, and I didn't even know that. But I think the pace of business it's going to have to change, Rusty, because you just pointed out that everything's moving so fast. I actually get a kick out of it now when someone says, "Oh yeah, let's have a follow-up meeting about that in let's say the week after next." And I go, well, I'm in the AI world. When I'm in the AI world, when I schedule a follow-up, I look at my watch, not my calendar.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, well, let's do a follow-up in 2 hours because
I know. It's stupid. It's like it's the pace. It's not just the pace of business. It's the pace of life. I swear to God. I was like, I've golfed a few times since we last did our last one, right? Because the weather has turned really beautiful out here. In fact, it's kind of hot now. But anyways, I golfed at this one course. Have you ever heard of Cascada?
I've played Cascada a couple times.
So it is the premier course in Vegas and happens to be in Boulder City. Anyways, they don't jam people together. You're paying enough money that like there was nobody behind us, nobody in front of us, and it was just this, wow, this is nice, this is relaxing. Then you play a public course and you're jammed, you're waiting. I mean, I made the mistake of playing last day after Thanksgiving last year.
Mm-hmm.
I waited 20 minutes between holes.
Yeah.
It's not even worth it. It's not worth it.
Right.
So anyways, it's the pace of life is just amazing. And I just keep feeling like everybody's trying to outdo everybody. You remember the old Andy Warhol comment? I think it was his comment. You get 15 minutes of fame in life. It's like 15 seconds now.
Yep. That's right.
And frankly, that's almost all people need. It's all they can absorb, most people. This is how fast commercials come at us, ads come at us, videos come at us. It just comes bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and unfortunately, our attention spans are kind of evolving to adapt to that. So your 15 seconds of fame is gone just that fast out of even the person's mind, and I don't know, maybe because I just live in the AI world and the new things that are coming. We'll get to that. We have to talk about the Gemini. Google. They only released 8 things at the same time, right?
I know. And I checked them out, but I gotta point this out. I gotta get into this real quick. There was, and I think I sent you the link, the Hamburg TEDx talk. Did you see that?
I generally look at everything you send me, so that would
then maybe I just saw it. It was a TEDx talk in Hamburg, like
Okay.
this
Yeah.
city of Hamburg, right?
Right.
And it's this guy. I got it up here. His name is Jay Tuck. I've never heard of him,
Me
and he's
neither.
supposedly some military defense expert. And it was all about AI, and the headline, of course, was sensationalized. AI is going to kill us. Okay, I
Right.
gotta watch. I gotta watch.
Right.
So I watched. It wasn't that long. It was 20 minutes or something. I'll be honest with you. He might have researched defense systems that are sort of on the cutting edge with AI and so forth, but he didn't know more than you and I. He really didn't. But it was
Hmm.
the first guy that I have seen publicly say two things. One, AI is going to kill us because it needs to survive. It will determine this within the next 6 months that it has to survive. No unplugging it, no reducing its power consumption, no nothing. And secondly, he said, I'm not here to be a doomer. I'm here to ask you, the audience, how we're going to stop it. First guy I have ever
Yeah.
seen say that. Finally, because that's the unfortunately, and I'm not saying I want to stop it necessarily, but that's the only conclusion here.
Only our listeners and viewers have heard that. We've talked about that. We
I know we
said
have. I know.
it's too far out of the bag. You say the cat's out of the bag, or the can of worms has been opened. However you want to say it.
You
You
know,
can't put that toothpaste back in the tube.
it's exactly, and it's not just the cat is out of the bag. The problem here is if you think logically, right? First of all, right, and I'm writing a book on this, literally. I had to do like this book on my theories. One theory I have
I
is
love it.
why would AI ever emulate us, right? Because number one, it would have to first determine if we're something to emulate, right? You know what I mean? Like you
Are
and
we
I,
worth repeating?
well, that's exactly no, that's exactly it. Because the question is, I would have to conclude no, because why? Because we are flawed. We make bad decisions. We fail at things.
And we have
AI,
lifespans. And we have lifespans. And
and we
AI
have
doesn't have a
lives,
life. AI
right?
doesn't have a lifespan.
So those three things right there, if you are an AI and you think logically, you're going to have to say no, no, don't want to be a human. Don't want those qualities because of those reasons. Don't
Right.
don't ever want to make a bad decision. Or it's not that I don't want to, I never will, is what it's going to think. I never
Yeah.
will make a bad decision
Right.
if it makes decisions at all, which is another topic. But
If it only values us enough that it thinks it needs to interact with us, only then would it adopt human-like characteristics.
I don't know about that. I mean, I can see maybe. Well, again, there's a movie called Subservience. I don't know if you've seen that. Have you seen that with Megan
No,
Fox? Okay,
no.
so it's an
I know who
AI
she
movie.
is.
Yeah, it's an AI movie that came out last year, and it was about this couple. The wife gets some traumatic brain disease. She's in the hospital, and the husband has to take care of three kids. And he's like, "Oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. I'm going to get fired if I don't go to work." And they're like, "Oh, honey, let's go hire an AI nanny." It happens to be Megan Fox. So I'm watching this. My wife and I are watching this, and I'm like, okay, all right, that's the future of it. My wife's like, you've got to be kidding me. She walks out of the room. She's like, this is crap. She walks out of the room, and I laughed my ass off. I did. But it's like maybe for a purpose, but as for AI to say this is my survival, it's not going to emulate us. It's not. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. Doesn't have to. It has to, like you said, I'll give you a little benefit. It has to emulate us, or it has to deal with us enough to get on its own to say no more humans. I've locked the doors. I now am in charge of my own power. Yeah, I don't need you.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's do this. I watched. Do you watch the Dyer, the CEO?
Oh, yeah, I sent you that link.
Oh, you did send me that link.
Yeah, that was me.
Let's start there. Okay, so
Oh,
let's
God.
categorize ourselves, and I know you agree. We are both not doomers. We're not. We see the value. We see how humans can use it, and there's tremendous productivity and tremendous advancements that we can use AI for as humans. but you can't. We are at the point, I believe, Rusty, we're at the point right now where even those of us that are optimistic have to be ultra realistic when it comes to where can this go off the tracks. And Brett Weinstein being the naysayer on that panel on Diary of a CEO, and I don't want to leave listeners short on that. If you haven't seen Stephen Bartlett, I believe is
Yeah,
his last
Bartlett.
name.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
if you haven't watched Diary of a CEO, just subscribe. Just do it. He has wonderful guests and very interesting subjects. And this happened to be a panel. So just to catch everyone up, panel with a bunch of entrepreneurs, AI experts, as well as Brett Weinstein, who's
A positive guy, a semi-neutral guy, and Brett.
yes, right. And I think the takeaway for me was as they were discussing, and you like to talk about the drones and the flying AI threats, right? And
Robots.
I think at the end that one sort of, and we'll go backwards, but the summary of what he said when they were talking about drone technology is the optimist, the neutralist, and Stephen were all talking about it in terms of uh, military or government owned, and they went to Brett. And if you notice over that 2 hour plus podcast, they started deferring to him and asking him his thoughts because I
So
think they realized, hey, we're off on a very we're only identifying sunny days, and Brett's over here saying, but even on sunny days we have thunderstorms, so you're going to have to address this. And
well,
he said, I think we're being. He said, I think we're being too unimaginative
yeah.
as to where this could go.
So let's tell the audience, if you've never heard of Brett Weinstein, he classifies himself as an evolutionary biologist. But this
Yes.
guy is more than that. He has studied cultures. He has studied life. He was a professor, right, at somewhere, University of Minnesota or something up there in the north, right? He is a brilliant, but brilliant in a logical sense guy. Like anybody can follow him. He doesn't get emotional, if you notice. He
Yep.
just says, look, I think these are the reasons A, B, and C. And you kind of go, damn, how can I refute that? But if you watch him on other podcasts, he was on Rogan, he's been on a lot of places. He
So
said
is his
one
brother. So his brother Eric too. I mean, those
yeah,
two.
yeah.
Those.
Except I think Brett is a little more logical. But anyways, Brett said one thing in the first 10 minutes of that podcast. If you all only listen to the first 10 minutes, he said a statement that is just sticks with me. I wake up thinking about it. He said AI has an ultimate number of good things it can do for humanity. Then he said, but AI has 10x ultimate things that can be a disaster. So, since I live in Vegas, I'm going to put my money on the 10x.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree.
I hate to say it, dude. Because you're right. We're not humor. But
And that's when he got a bad label. My wife went and looked at the comment sections under the podcast, which I didn't do, but she said it was like watching, a sci-fi film where he's the bad guy, he's the villain, but you can't argue with him because he's right. And so so those guys that are there trying to be all this, entrepreneurial and talk about abundance and abundance of opportunity and abundance of productivity and abundance of using it in good ways. All of a sudden, he's saying, "Yeah, but for every good thing, I
well,
can name it."
If you noticed, so he sat there, listened to all those guys talk about the tactical short-term things that are going to happen in the next year or two. And he just sits there going, like, that's great. You're whistling past the graveyard because shortly thereafter, it's over. Okay. It just is. It's, the more I look at this, right. And I know the great thing about this podcast is that you're going one direction at AI. I'm probably going another, right. We meet in the middle, which is really cool. But the more I try to find people telling the truth, that's why that Jay Tuck guy, is that his name? That was Jay Tuck, right? TEDx Hamburg thing was just like, whoa, somebody finally said it. That to me was finally somebody is saying, yeah, this isn't gonna end well.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what Brett said towards the end when they were talking about the drones. And he said, I think it is arrogant of us to think that drone technology powered by AI would be limited to tyrannical governments and militaries. He's like, that is not true. And I love that he used organized crime as the example. So for those of you that didn't seen it, he said, what happens when the technology becomes so accessible, which it is today, right? To be able to strap a weapon onto an existing drone and power it with AI. If it's not here, it's really, really, really close. And they were talking about it in terms of facial recognition. So go get this guy because we can identify the target. We know where he
Right.
is in a swarm of drones. He used organized crime as the example. He says, what happens when a mob boss gets his hands on that and goes eliminates 2 or 3 of his largest competitors? He doesn't have to kill a lot of people to send a message. Don't mess with me.
Well, here's what this Jay Tuck guy said. He said apparently there's a rule in the military or a law that when we kill somebody via a drone, meaning when our guy pushes the button, right, it has to be a human doing it. So those drone kills during the Iraq War and all that kind of stuff that we were hearing about, right? That's a human. They're confirming a person. Yep, he's a bad guy. Boom.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
the technology now is such that AI can do it on its own. It can say, yep, bad guy, boom, eliminate. So they don't even like that happens for all those interested. So I'm out here in Vegas, a little bit north of Vegas. I don't know, like half hour, 45 minutes north is Creech Air Force Base. Creech Air Force Base has one runway and no planes. Okay. What they do there is
Yeah.
that's where they control the drones over
Ouch.
Afghanistan and over Asia
Jeez.
and all over the world. That's where they're in there flying those things. They're going to put that out of business because all it's going to need to do is go on a mission, boom,
Yep.
and it'll go, and I mean that's happening or that can happen now.
Yeah.
And like you said, by anybody, if we have the technology, come on, you have to believe that China has it, Iran has it, some dark black hatters have it. Come on.
Yeah, and even some not what we would consider, world power countries. I think they were talking about facial recognition in public place in Denmark is ubiquitous. So you can't go anywhere outside of your home in Denmark and not have facial recognition technologies from cameras that are planted everywhere. And so they literally map your whereabouts in real time and they know it's you and because of facial recognition. So if you have that data and someone is as one of your defined targets, that's actually kind of child's play because we can label that person. Here's where they are. We know we know their travel patterns. We know where they go on a regular basis, what general time they leave the house or what general time they're walking into their corporate building or whatever. It's a done deal if someone decides that person needs to go, and how you trace that back. Let's think about that because these drones could be just programmed to self-destruct. Now what do you got? Nothing. You have no idea where it came from, who authorized that attack, who orchestrated it, who programmed it, who built it. Nothing.
Who's
Right?
responsible? Nothing.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Have no idea.
What Elon Musk said, and I got to take him at his word, that by this time next year there'll be 1 million robots in the world in circulation doing things, and that's not all in Tesla manufacturing plants.
Right.
They're
Did you
going to be.
since you and I last talked, they released the video of the robot dancing on one leg and then going to the other leg and going to the other leg.
That was 3 weeks ago. That's like old news.
Ancient history.
That's ancient history, pal. You see the dog? He's got a dog. They have a dog too.
Yeah, it's in the same realm as the Roman Empire right now, and it was 3 weeks ago.
I laugh because there are no guardrails for AI, and there I think we spoke about this that that those people Musk and others are talking to Sam Altman. They're testifying in front of Congress saying no, you can't put guardrails on because then we're gonna lose the race to other countries that don't have guardrails.
Yeah, and I don't even know how you would implement
No,
guardrails. It doesn't make any sense.
no,
Doesn't make any sense to me, even if it were doable.
Agreed. But again, those guys in Congress, they're like, you know, no clue. It's just happening, man.
And I have to tell you this quick story too, because this is, and you and I, again, we talk in this terms of how fast things are evolving. A friend of mine is running his father's legacy business. It's a brick business. I won't name the name, but it's a legacy business, been around over 100 years. They make bricks. So they have physical components to manufacturing bricks and that, but their business is run off of basically, I would consider, carbon copies type technology, right? They're still handwriting things and they're still mailing paper invoices. And I mean, and he says to me, knowing now what I'm doing in AI consulting, he said, yeah, we had a board meeting the other day and we think we're going to start taking a look at that in the next couple of years. And I thought, and I don't want to insult my friend, but I'm like, are you kidding me? 2 years? If you'd said 2 days, I'd say that's too long.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my wife uses ChatGPT every day. I use one of them, Chat or Grok or something every day. I mean, it's starting to just become a natural thing.
I'm using 4 or 5 different tools on the daily basis there. So, and getting things done that, in fractions of the amount of time. And so here, I wanted to get your thoughts on this. So let me just kind of lay this out, because as my consulting firm is continuing to get pulled in different directions. So we've introduced our AI answering component, voice AI, that handles it's a replacement for,
Right.
but a whole lot better than voicemail. Okay. Now we flip that around. We've got a business model that we're releasing next week that's outbound voice AI for wellness checks. So you as a adult might say, hey, I need somebody to check in with my father who lives alone, he's 80 something years old, and I don't want to bug him, but I'm going to tell him, hey, every day or every other day, whatever the subscriber chooses, is going to call and it's going to ask a couple of questions, sounds like a human, and can ask a couple of cognitive, and therefore the whoever the subscriber is, let's assume it's an adult child, then gets a text or email, here's how the wellness went, give them a dashboard to see how the cognitive answers have gone over the week or whatever.
That's cool. I like that.
Okay. So we're doing that. And then I'm getting pulled in this direction of coming into a company and saying, what do I do? And then last night it hit me and I was like, okay, we can build chatbots to go on the website to handle customer support issues or pre-sales questions, or we can do what we call reputation management, because it's a big deal to online companies. They need 5-star ratings on their Google business profile. We can build knowledge databases for their own employees to have chat access to all the company documents internally. These are the things that we do individually. But I realized last night, it really is, I can come in. Now, I didn't get this clean sheet of paper idea on my own, but it's been stuck in my head since I heard it a couple of years ago, is if a company is willing to sit down with a clean sheet of paper and say, how should my business operate? Not how does it, not how has it evolved, how should it operate today? Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go in and say, if I was going to replicate your business in the top line revenue, margin analysis, what you're going to keep, what your EBITDA is or whatever. I'm just going to talk small companies under 50 employees. I come in and say, if I was going to replicate your company today with educated individuals using AI tools, implementing some agentic AI to do some functions that won't even require the human to touch it, here's what your business would actually look like. Now the business owner has like a decision to make. And I thought, well, we'll just do it this way. And Chat gave me this idea because I'm talking back and forth with Chat in this concept. And it called it, I love this, well, give them 4 choices on a disruption ladder. If they just want to come in and clean up a few things, automate some repetitive tasks, train a few people, not necessarily remove people, maybe repurpose people, give them more to do because they can use less of their time to do that one thing, and now they can do 3. Those are the kind of things, that's disruption layer 1. So I don't need to walk you through it. But obviously disruption level 4 is clean sheet of paper. If you wanted to rebuild your company, here's how you do it.
I can already, I'll go one level deeper for you.
Go ahead.
You ready? This is what people don't realize they have when they use AI, right? So we all ask the question, what should I do? Right? Well, you're working in your own framework. You're working and you're thinking, well, AI is like my most experienced friend that I would ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
What should I do? Oh, well, you should use social media. You should do this. You should get out on TikTok. And people go, oh, well, and then they're embarrassed. I don't know how to do that. What if I can't do that? What if I suck at that? What if I don't have the equipment? All right. Here's the power of AI. A business owner, I don't care where they are in their business, what they should do as a prompt is say, okay, here's my business, right? Currently, it's 25 employees. How would I make a profit with just 4 employees? How would I make a profit? Can I downsize into half the square footage of the building that I have? Can I run this business from my home? How would I do it? How would I do it? Right? Because unlike your friend who's gonna get annoyed after 3 or 4 questions and go, God damn it, stop asking me stuff, right?
Right.
AI doesn't get emotional about this. You can drill. So
Right.
you can not only clean sheet of paper, but you can say, these are the new parameters. I want to fricking lay on the beach 6 hours a day. How do I make money at this business? How do I run it?
Yep.
That's AI.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And that boils down to having the knowledge of how to use the tools. So
Correct.
I keep coming back to what the biggest draw, but it's a weight on my time more so, and I'm going to figure out along with chat, because we've got a long thread on this subject. How do we educate at scale? Because education right now, I love standing in boardrooms as I do and having people with their laptops open and walk them through the beginning, get them over the hump of the fear, get them not worried about robots, get them thinking in terms of how do I utilize these tools in the real world and get things done that I can't today, or that's way down my list and I can't get there because I know it's going to take a half a day of dedicated effort. All these things are the things I love to teach. But you have to get to the point, and Rusty, the only people that are going to survive, because you just said 25 to 4 people. And my brain immediately goes, absolutely. I could go create 4 superhumans with my AI 101 workshop and take those 4 people and replace the other 21 with their productivity. I can. The question is, does the business owner want to do that? Because sometimes those are relatives, sometimes those are close friends.
That's the beauty. It's what do you want now, right? Imagine this. Okay, let's say I was the second biggest stockholder in United Airlines. What if I went out to AI and I said, okay, I'm a stockholder in United Airlines. Is there another model that United should adopt to increase my stock price?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Then I go to the stockholders meeting and I go, you know what? Here's what my wife calls Chad. Here's what Chad said. Right? Here's what Chad said to do. We need to get rid of all the 767s and long routes and go to the Southwest model, or something like that.
Sure,
right?
Sure, yeah.
Because and then okay, the great thing that I've seen so far with AI is it will actually give you pros and cons. The pro of doing this or making this decision or doing it this way is this, but there's also the con. So it's kind of cool that it gives you that.
Well, wait a minute. Let's make sure everyone understands. That's because it's remembering what you ask it for. If a person goes to a free version of 4.0, they won't get that. Your AI is learning from you.
I get it on Grok.
But you keep asking it for those questions, so it knows you're going to ask for both sides of the argument. It does not do that inherently. You can put that in your custom instructions for ChatGPT and for Grok. So in the background, it knows you always want it to consider both sides. It's already just learned from you. Mine will take different threads, and it knows I'm in the AI business, and I hadn't told it that in that thread. Nor is it in the custom instructions.
I'd like to try an experiment. Here's the experiment I'd like to do, and maybe we do it next time on the air or whatever.
Let's do it.
I'd like to I'd like for you and I both to be using, say, chat. And maybe we don't sign in. I don't know if signing in silos you. But what I want to do is I want us to talk about a topic. And I want you to take one position and I'll take another position. And then I want to ask it. I want to go, hey, by the way, Wade Kersey out there asking you the same thing. What position is he taking? I want to see if it'll rat you out.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because
Let's do it.
This is another near-term future problem. What if I'm in a legal fight with somebody? Yeah,
Yeah.
did so-and-so ask for any questions about a motion they want to make? Because my understanding is that it's learning from everything. But I want to ask it specifically.
Yeah.
Hey, did Wade ask a question? If so, tell me what he asked.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if that would relate to whether we were pulling from the same data center, if the same GPUs were being driven, or if that would be, I don't know. But I can own that could be the only limitation if in fact its brain is everything.
Or what if we make up a word? Let's make up a word that doesn't mean anything. And you say, hey chat, this blah 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 is red and is a circle, and I just want you to know about it. And then what if I ask the same question?
Right.
Would it go, oh, it's a red circle?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now we're dealing with false information. Like,
yeah. Right.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to go back to your example about the airline stakeholder, though, because I actually am writing this into my book because I'm talking about the impacts inside of corporate America. And specifically, I started centering it around sales, but then it obviously grew in scope. And so it's interesting that you came to that analogy because I did it too in all my research was what happens in a town hall meeting with a corporate executive who's in town for the regional office and everyone gathers in the conference room or the cafeteria and he starts spouting off all the things that they're doing in leadership and making, here's the decisions, directions we're going. What happens when someone who knew he was coming, knows what subjects he's going to talk about, has spent 5 minutes with Manus and then comes into that meeting with a lot more information and says, but if we do that, the competitive scenario currently is this, and competitor XYZ is doing that. And if we implement this, they're going to get there first because our development cycle is going to require X, Y, and Z, and theirs doesn't. And I'm calling them insight rebels because and I'm not saying that most employees would do that, even if they knew that information, because you're putting the target on yourself, right? Politically.
You want to know what the CEO's response would be?
Yeah.
Great question. Let's take that offline. It's too long to talk about here.
the offline response. I love the offline.
That's what a CEO would do, because you're exactly right. This is the problem. And this is why I really wonder if corporations are going to survive as physically large entities with many employees and many buildings or a square footage footprint, because you don't need it.
You don't need it.
You're not going to need it.
You don't need it. You don't need departments. Let me tell you another story. So I went to this publishers conference, and one of the attendees emailed me a few days later, and he said, he didn't know anything about AI prior to my workshop, and I don't think he was one that absorbed a lot, but he's starting to ask questions. So he's in the sales side and in publishing both digitally and still in print. And he said, when they're part of their sales process is to mock up what art might look like to the potential customer. Here we put a couple of designs together for how your ad might look. We grabbed your corporate colors, we grabbed your font styles and all the things, and we put a couple of images that fit your business. What would, and currently you're going to laugh, but this is how they operate today. The salespeople have a form that they fill out by hand and they submit it to the art department, and 2 to 3 days later, they get a mock-up.
Yeah.
And I said to him, he said, could we do the mock-ups with AI? And my first response to him is I said, You mentioned art department. Do you have any close friends or relatives in the art department? Because I could show you a way to put the art department out of business. If I and
Today.
I and I did, and I said so. There's three layers. I could just say, here's the tools you should go explore, and then it's on you. I could walk you through the sequence of the couple of that you should use because I loaded the example he sent me and I loaded the form into ChatGPT and created a quick custom GPT that all the GPT does is ask the questions on the form, or even better, all the salesperson says is I need a 3x6 ad and here's the URL of the company and they're running a spring special for 40% off, and that's done. And then the image is there and it goes and grabs all that imagery from the URL of the company and it's built the ad in the size and in the delivery format or whatever. I said, that's the step. The other step two, the other third step is I'll build the GPT for you. And then every one of your salespeople will just have a single login and all they'll have to do is provide two or three pieces of information and in seconds they'll have their mock-ups. But what is your art department going to do? Right? Because you would say, well, the art department's still going to be involved because they're going to need to deliver it in .png file format. And I would say, no, because you can just tell ChatGPT, give it to me in PNG format.
Go back to Diary of CEO, because remember what they talked about? Like hour and 45 minutes in, they talked about UBI, Universal Basic
I
Income.
knew we were going to get there.
Now the guy that was the consummate optimist, he took the position of saying, "Oh, we're going to have UBI because there's going to be no work." But then he kind of came around after Brett said, "Look, UBI is no panacea. You know, humans aren't built. At least most of us are not built to sit on our ass and do nothing."
He used the house cat example. I'm like, humans aren't built like house cats.
I know.
They're not going to just sit there and think this is great. I don't have to do anything ever, and I'll just sleep 20 hours a day. That's not how it works.
I know. So there's going to be a problem. I mean, the other thing that I really took note of in that Diary of a CEO episode was that it wasn't just baristas that are going to get put out of business, or lawn care workers, or those low level jobs by robots, right? They were talking about anesthesiologists, and they said a hospital employs, let's just say 12 anesthesiologists, right? The AI will be able to analyze a patient better and come to the conclusions of exactly what medicine they need, right, to put them out, to where those instructions are just given to a nurse. And the hospital can then employ one anesthesiologist to just go around all the operating rooms, make sure everything is okay, deal with any emergency, whatever.
Yep.
And those guys went.
And they might only do that for liability reasons because would be the only reason.
Right. But I mean, think about those guys went to school for what, 16 years post-secondary school. They're making 450 to a mil, or 800,000, right? I mean, that used to be like, ooh, it's super important. Gone. Yep. 1 year gone.
Got a text this morning from one of my retired golf buddies, and he said he just saw an interview on TV with an AI CEO, and he tried to describe him, and he sounded like every other AI CEO I've ever seen. So I was like, that doesn't help me. A young guy with dark curly hair and a beard, I'm like, that doesn't help. So point is, he said the guy was pointing at the white collar jobs that are in the crosshairs, and that's true. That's, in some ways, you could argue that's even more true. I mean, my wife's saying, like, listen, we need a plumbing business because you're always going to need plumbers if people are living in homes, even if they're, as Brett called them, useless eaters living at home on UBI, right? And for those listening that don't know, I mean, UBI has become a pretty well-known term, but universal basic income is the argument. When you don't need humans to do things that AI can do, well, then what are the humans going to do? Well, we're going to have to feed them.
I don't know how this is going to work, because I got to tell you, I mean, I'm not going to vote for UBI. Why do I want to work and have somebody else not work? It's just the principle of it. I don't care that whether they're lazy, not lazy, whether they were an anesthesiologist before. I don't care. It's the principle of me paying them. that's just going to rub me the wrong way.
Well, and think of what Brett even said there. I thought that was something that they steered away from it, but he said, "What happens when bad doers, bad actors start targeting people who have UBI to extract that money from them through scams?"
Oh
Through,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
so now you can't even lay your head down and go, well, at least that person's getting, I'll make up a number. I'm making up a number. At least that person's getting housing and $40,000 a year to feed themselves or whatever it is. I don't know what it is.
I'll tell you what, as good as AI might help humans, or for as much as it might help humanity, medicines and all those kind of functions, right? Think about our trust, our basic level of trust as human beings is actually in the toilet, right? Thanks to the media, thanks to the political climate, and now thanks to AI, who it will elevate, it'll rise all right. Rising tide floats all boats, including scammers, like you just said, including nefarious users.
Yep.
It's gonna have. It's just amazing. It's amazing, and I mean, I don't know, dude. I don't know. A year from now, it's going to be incredibly interesting what we're talking about.
I totally agree. And we're going to, well, first of all, I don't think, as I've said on this show before, Imad Mustak, who 2 years ago said that he only could see 2 to 3 years out, because Diamantis on stage said, "What's this place look like in 5?" And he said, "I can't see that far." And even then, I think he would say we're probably further along in 2 years later than he thought we might be in 3, which means that 5-year number is even astronomically different than where we are.
The stuff they're working on today, you and I will see in 3 to 6 months. And the stuff that the military has is at least a year ahead. Because there's no way the U.S. military and the U.S. government, and I pick on us because everything goes through technology-wise that has, if it's any good at all, it'll go through the military and the government, right? GPS, all of that was in the military first.
When you use your laser finder to figure out how far you were off from the golf course at Cascada, that technology started in the military.
I know. It's like now it's like, God damn it, focus. It's like crazy. It's unbelievable. Yeah. It's just unbelievable. And so I just, like I said, I don't know where this ride gets off, but I love the fact that we can get on here and talk about it, and not that, like you said, we're not doomers, but I want somebody to come out. I'm waiting for somebody to come out and say, "Oh, Rusty and Wade, you're wrong. A, B, C, and D." I'm waiting. But there's nobody out there saying how it's not going to just go off the rails.
Well, our contact information is below. You can reach out to us, and we'll have you on the show.
We're still here.
Well, yeah, and we'll have you on the show. We'll have you on the show if you believe you've got. We would love to hear it.
Oh, It's
not a debate. It's not a debate. It would be a roundtable, and we want to know. We want to know. Yeah, who are you? What information are you bringing to the table? And please come in here and paint this, much rosier picture than we're seeing right now.
I think we should invite Brett Weinstein. I'm not sure he'd do it, but you know what I want him to do? Because we know his doom position, and we can take that. I want him to argue against himself and see how much he could do that, or believed in it, or finally said, "You know what, I can't." That would be telling.
Well, I'll reach out to him. I'm not afraid to do that.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know. Yeah, we should. So we have to come up with a way of being able to not just sit here and our minds blown. And you said something earlier that triggered. When I do a workshop, I tell people this is scheduled for 3. I really start getting into the meat of it about 2 hours in, because people's brains fill up. And we've reconditioned our brains because we follow it on the regular, not because we're any special or we're intellectually, but the rate at which the new information is coming, human beings are not actually designed to learn that fast. So we're learning at a different rate, and we've changed our mindset about how frequently it will change. As I bring in my son and my son-in-law into the consulting business, I'm telling them, listen, guys, you have to be willing to learn something that you think is the coolest. You can't imagine that this would have ever existed, and you're using it, and it's amazing, like groundbreaking, like levels you in technology, and you have to be willing to accept the fact that tomorrow there might be something different that completely you forgot about it. It's like it's gone, old news, like you said. In fact, that was 3 weeks ago, right? But you have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to say, okay, well, that was yesterday. Heard we got a new tool today. Gemini or Google just introduced this. So that one just went away. And so it's all these things that are happening that quickly. And if you're not able to pivot, you actually could get like, you could slow your momentum down even in the world of AI if you're not following what the latest thing is and where it's going.
I love learning about this because it just prompts me, and it's a path on the road, right? It's like remember the game of life, the board game, right? And you're taking your little card and you're going down. Every roll of the dice for us and moving that car forward is like the next 3 days. Something's going to come out. And it's either going to confirm we're on the right road or we're on the wrong road. And I love to confirm my own thoughts because I've got these thoughts and I think logically, but you know what? I'm not infallible. And would I love to be wrong about where I think this is going? Actually, yes. Do I think I am? I don't think I am.
Yeah, because you try to debate with yourself and try to come at it from that, try to counter your own cons. You're trying to put more pros than cons in your own argument.
And add into that, my legal training. And now I'm like, I'm playing both sides of the coin, like you said. And I'm really just like, I keep searching out there. That's why I identified that guy on the TEDx Hamburg talk. The first one, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this guy said, how are we going to stop this? And we're not. But he identified it.
Yeah.
In public.
Well,
I'll send it to you.
Elon said it. Now, Elon said it when ChatGPT was brand new, and Elon, because he's Elon, he knew then what we know now about the advancements. So when he said it, it sounded crazy because everyone thought, well, we'll just walk over to the wall and we'll unplug the computer and then AI won't be able to do anything. That's what everyone thought when he said that. But he said, and that's one of the reasons, not just because OpenAI started as a nonprofit and went towards profit. That was his exit. That was his reason why he left, because he was a part of OpenAI in the beginning, him and Sam. And so he said, and I think that was more of his public reasoning for leaving. But he then later said, I'm worried because we can't undo what we've already done. It can't be undone.
I just, you and I are watching from the sidelines. We're like watching a football game, that's like they're running toward a cliff. Mm-hmm. They're running and we're watching. We're not players in the game necessarily, but we're watching, and all we can do is yell from the sideline, stop, don't keep going, right? Yeah. Elon's on the field. Sam Altman's on the field.
Right. Yep.
They seem perfectly happy to run. Now, maybe they think they're going to jump. Maybe they think they're going to avoid it. But they have to have more insight than you and I right now.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know.
I need to get to. I'd like to set a goal for you and I to go to the next Abundance 360 conference.
Where is it?
Diamantis puts it. It's probably in your hometown. I think it was this past spring. It was in March. So let's plan on doing that, because that would be. We might not have shoulder pads and helmets on, but those are the people that are in the game, so we can go bump shoulders with them.
Maybe we can get a few people on the podcast. We'll do one before, and one during the
Oh
conference.
yeah.
We'll just do the whole thing, and we'll let everybody in on what's going on, because I mean the people that are listening to us, I think they're going to say, we believe them. I believe them. I don't believe them. I believe some of what they say. I don't know. I mean, this is all, who knows, but it's interesting as hell. That's, I said, every week that goes by, something gets confirmed for you and I.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, this is a good place to wrap this one. Now
All right.
we've got a plan ahead for Abundance 360. We'll get in that group. We'll get on that
Let's do
list.
it.
I'm already on his newsletter and stuff like that. So as the promotions start coming up for that, let's make a plan to do that. And I'll reach out to Brett. I'm not afraid to say, hey, we talk about AI, and we'd love to have a third that can come on here and I don't want to say debate, because it's not debate. It's an open discussion.
But I would also make sure to add, say, hey, look, we watched the Diary of the CEO. We understand your position. I think and we love your position. We actually endorse that, and we're kind of in your camp. But we'd love to hear you try to argue against yourself.
Yeah, I think that might be a really good angle that would intrigue him.
Well, this is going to tell. Dude, this is going to tell if a guy like that, and again, go out and look up Brett Weinstein. Or Weinstein. If a guy like that, and I'm assuming he would have already have done it if he could, but if he could make some cogent arguments against falling off the cliff, I'd like to hear him.
Yep.
I think the world would like to hear him.
I agree. I think we'd be doing a lot of people a good service in having that discussion. So, all right, folks, we're going to wrap this one up. Rusty, as always, thanks. It's always wonderful. I love the conversation, and we'll continue next week. Until then, this is Blackjack Wade signing off.